Christmas can be a lonely time for many older people, particularly those dealing with bereavement, isolation or family difficulties. Seniorline, Ireland's national telephone service for older people, is open every day throughout Christmas and the New Year, offering company, conversation and support. To tell us more about the service, the calls they receive at this time of year and some simple ways we can all help older people feel more connected, I'm joined now by Anne Dempsey. Anne is Communications Manager and Training Facilitator with Seniorline. Anne, thank you for joining us on Morning Focus.
Thank you so much, Alan.
And you're kept going at Seniorline. You receive around 30,000 calls every year, with a good proportion coming from Clare. What are some of the reasons people reach out, especially around Christmas?
I think, Alan, Christmas makes everything more so. So if you're in great form and good family stuff going on, Christmas is wonderful. But if you don't have that, and if you feel that if you're on your own, if you've been recently bereaved, if you feel everyone else is having a terrific time except you, then Christmas can be very, very hard. And these would be the kind of issues we deal with. I'm just thinking of the people that will be phoning us over the next week or 2 weeks. And we know some of them because some of them are regular callers, and we can anticipate some of the others. There will be issues around people who've died recently, people who died, in the distant past, people who've had unhappy childhoods, Alan. And at Christmas, a lot of people can feel very sad and have a lot of regret. And, in Seniorline, one of our advantages is that people can have autonomy. They can phone us. They're in their own home with a lot of control, and they can speak in whatever way they want. And, that can be very freeing for people for whom confidentiality and autonomy and privacy can be very important.
And do you have a rough sense of how many calls you receive each year from this county?
I can't be accurate and tell you, because some people don't tell us where they're calling from, I suppose the way to answer your question, Alan, we have some very regular callers from Clare, particularly the rural areas that we would know and get to know over the years. But a lot of people phone us and they just phone and say, "Look, I'm looking for a number. I'd like to know the number for where," or something like that, And we would try and say, I have the number for you, but I'm glad you phoned today. Would you like to? My name is so and so. Just to kind of engage and maximise the opportunity, knowing that they're on their own. And some people will engage and stay with us, and some people will say, "Look, I just want that number. Thank you very much indeed." And that might be as far as it goes. So it's a whole range of relationships, both very short and very deep and long term.
And you're supporting those who may be feeling lonely, isolated or struggling with bereavement over the Christmas. You have 75 trained volunteers taking calls. What kind of support and training do they receive to help callers feel listened to and cared for?
Well, you've used the right verb is listening. Our 3 days of training, it's very much centred on learning strange things that you have to teach people how to listen. But a lot of volunteers say to us at the end of training, "Look, I didn't realise I didn't really know how to listen." To really listen with that inner ear, to listen with full attention, not to interrupt, to be with people, to let them lead, and then to kind of facilitate the conversation in a way that kind of, so that's how you feel in that situation. Would you like to tell me more about that? Or what happened then? Really encourage the caller to speak and get off their chest whatever they want to, rather than rushing in with solutions, because we don't have a solution for another person's problem. What we do have is to give them space to reflect and to discuss with them what options they might have.
Seniorline has some practical suggestions, and for people spending Christmas alone, be it keeping routines, creative activities and so on. Can you share a few strategies that you find really make a difference?
I can, and some of these suggestions have come from our volunteers themselves, Alan. So the first thing we're saying is to maintain a routine and establish a sense of purpose for each day, because we got that from talking to a lot of people who are retired, because again, they're older people, and what frequently they lose is a sense of purpose and meaning. Their job is gone. So a lot of older people need to give that to themselves. One of the ways to do it is, and I'm a great believer in the to-do list. If you have a list each day, no matter how trivial, the things you're going to do each day, even to, cook yourself a nice meal, go out and have a walk, phone a friend, do a bit of shopping, so that, you can. The lovely thing about a to-do list is you cross things off as they're achieved, and you have a sense of achievement. So we say make a to-do list every day. Try and get out and walk every day. You're out in the fresh air, you're meeting people, you're re-establishing yourself with the community. And if someone's going to talk to you, they certainly say hello and happy Christmas at this time of year. So it can really help just getting out and about. And then try and make contact with another person, either by phone or text, online, just to have your voice heard and hear somebody else in your day. We've said practice self-care, be nice to yourself, dress in your favourite clothes, get some nice food lined up if you can, have some good books, pick out your TV programmes or what are you looking on your streaming services. So just give you the day you deserve if you're going to be on your own, and kind of try to concentrate on the positive. Some of our callers want to say, look, everyone else is having a great time, and that's kind of half perception as well as truth, because as we know, Christmas can be a very difficult time for everybody, even people in families, sometimes particularly people in families. So just because you're on your own doesn't mean you have to be miserable. There are positive things to dwell on and to concentrate on, and to be optimistic and be hopeful.
Finally, for anyone listening, Anne, who may want to volunteer or support Seniorline, what opportunities are out there, and how can people get involved?
They can get involved by phoning the helpline number, and one of our volunteers will put them onto my number, and we'll see how we go. Now, I suppose one of the issues, Alan, is, and I know you're phoning me from Clare, is that we used to have volunteers all around the country, and we still have some volunteers around the country, but they all need to train in Dublin, unfortunately. We can't get around to do our training locally as we used to in the past. So that would be a qualification that they could come up to Dublin for their days of training. Now, people do, but again, it's kind of an obstacle. So I must be clear about that with you.
Okay, a lovely message in here from a listener who says, "Hi Anne and Alan, I'm 77 and live alone, no family around. I use Seniorline often, especially at this time of year, and so it's brilliant that you're there to help people like that, Anne. Thank you so much for joining us, and a happy Christmas and New Year to you and your colleagues."
Alan, will you give out our free phone number?
Yeah, can indeed mention it there.
So it's 1800 80 45 91. And we're open every day over Christmas from 10 to 10. St. Stephen's Day, Christmas Eve, New Year's, the whole gamut. 10 to 10 every day, 1800 80 45 91.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Thank you for giving that out, Anne, and indeed for joining us on the show this morning. That's Anne Dempsey, Communications Manager and Training Facilitator with Seniorline, with me on Monday's Morning Focus.